You've brainstormed, planned, and executed countless launches. And if you're like many experienced business owners, you've nailed down the pre-launch and launch tactics. But there is a crucial step that so many people overlook. Imagine running a marathon and forgetting everything about what went into your success the moment you cross the finish line. If you don't reflect on what actually got you there, the training schedule you kept, the foods you ate, the sleep you got, how you paced your race, how well you recovered, and all of those things, you'd be missing out on the insights that could help you to make your next race even better. Yet, in the business world, this is exactly what happens more often than you think. You've crossed the finish line with your launch, the adrenaline is finally subsiding, and you're feeling that mix of accomplishment and complete exhaustion. But before you hang up your running shoes, let's talk about the cool down, the launch debrief. If you're new here, my name is Carrie, and I help businesses with messy metrics clean them up so they have the numbers they need at their fingertips for easy decision making and increased profits. So what exactly is a launch debrief? Simply put, it's a post-launch analysis, a thorough review of what went down during your product launch or sale. It's like checking your marathon stats, but for your business. Now you might ask, why is this so important? Well, every launch, regardless of its success, is packed with lessons. The debrief allows you to analyze those outcomes, pinpointing what worked and what didn't. Was your marketing strategy effective? Did the product really resonate with your target audience? Did your sales page convert? These are questions that the debrief will help to answer. And this isn't about patting yourself on the back or pointing fingers. A well-executed debrief guides you to make data-driven decisions. Instead of guessing or relying solely on gut feelings or assumptions, you'll have concrete data telling you where to double down and where you probably need to pivot next time. So what kind of metrics are we talking about? Well, depending on your launch, these can range from sales and conversion rates to customer feedback and things like website traffic. Even social media engagement and email open rates can be filled with really important data points. By harnessing these numbers, you're essentially mapping out your next steps. Implementing these insights can lead to better targeted marketing campaigns, product tweaks, or even strategic shifts in your business approach. In a nutshell, the launch debrief transformed hindsight into a powerful tool for future growth. Now, I know conducting a successful launch debrief might feel a little bit daunting, especially with all of the data staring back at you, but when you take a structured approach, it can be both insightful and very transformative. So let's break it down step by step. First off, I recommend starting by reviewing your objectives. Hopefully these were made clear before your campaign even started so you knew what you were aiming at, but this is a great time for a quick assessment. Were you aiming for brand awareness, higher sales, or user engagement, or maybe all three? By setting the stage with very clear objectives, you create a reference point for your analysis. Next, you want to collect all of your launch numbers. Gather all of that relevant data and metrics from your launch, such as sales figures, website analytics, customer feedback, and ad spend. This data will serve as the foundation for your debrief. If you haven't done this before, it might feel like a lot to know where to find all of these numbers, especially since they're usually being pulled from various platforms. This is when my clients and I like to lean on a launch dashboard, which allows you to see all of your relevant data in one place. I have a video that shows a full walkthrough of an example launch dashboard that I built, and I'll link that below in case you're interested in seeing that in action. If you don't have this automated, that's okay too. While the exact metrics you track might vary a little bit depending on the type of launch or sale that you're running, some of the top overall metrics that you'll want to make sure that you know are the number of people to your webinar registration page, the number of registrations, the number of live webinar attendees, the number of users to your replay page, the number of people to your sales page, your checkout page, the number of main product purchases, as well as bump and upsell purchases, your total cash collected, total future payments, and total sale value. But that's not quite it. You also want to make sure that you have data on things like how each of your emails performed, as in which ones led to webinar registrations and to sales, and how many conversions came from each of the different social media platforms that you use. You also want to look at your total ad spend, making sure to account for the cost of someone running the ads, and also look at customer feedback. Now, bringing all this data together isn't the end, though. Next, you want to be able to analyze those numbers that you have collected. This is where you want to dig deep into the data to identify trends, patterns, and areas for improvement. Look for key performance indicators or KPIs that indicate how well things went with specific aspects of your launch. Some of those things to look at are, what were the conversion rates for each different step of your funnel? Based on those metrics, where were the biggest bottlenecks that could be addressed? Which emails converted the best, and which ones could be tweaked next time for a better launch? Were your paid traffic results what you expected? What was your average order value? Remember, collecting all the numbers in the world does you no good until you take this next step of analysis. If you're preparing your numbers to present to your team, I'd highly encourage you to look at different ways to visualize them. Instead of endless spreadsheets, a visual representation can quickly highlight strengths, weaknesses, and potential opportunities. Be creative and look for ways to make the information you're sharing as digestible as possible for everyone on your team. Now that we've collected the data and analyzed it, it's time to turn that data into action by creating action points around the areas where we need to see improvement. No launch is going to be perfect. There is always going to be areas where things didn't go quite as planned or where performance lagged. Identify specific recommendations for improvement and develop strategies to implement those changes in your future launches. An example of this from a client I worked with is when we implemented tracking the number of users to a specific replay page. We had discussed removing the webinar replay option, but upon looking at it more closely, we learned that hundreds of people were visiting that replay page after the webinar. And since the webinar was such a key tool in selling the end product, we decided to continue to make that replay available for the duration of the open cart period. For another client, we could clearly see that out of the 10 emails from their email launch sales sequence, 5 of the emails drove almost all of their sales conversions. This means we know that those emails were doing their job, and not to change them for the next launch, but the others could be reviewed to see how we could better answer questions, overcome objections, or talk about benefits of the product to see those emails convert even better. So based on your analysis, determine what worked well and what needs improvement. Make sure to celebrate your successes and acknowledge the areas where you also fell short. This honest assessment will help to guide your future strategy. The goal here is to make small, iterative changes based on your debrief findings. This method allows you to test and optimize your strategies over time, leading to continuous optimization. In order to do this, it's really important to foster a culture of learning and encourage open communication with everyone on your team. Review those launch metrics with the key players in your team and discuss what worked, what didn't, and what could be changed next time. This kind of collaborative approach fosters innovation and growth and really allows each member of the team to share their own perspective, and it also allows your collective experience to come together to make your next launch even more successful. To help you get the ball rolling, I've put together a list of more than 40 questions you can pull from when you're planning the agenda for your next launch debrief. You can click in the link below to grab your own copy, choose the ones you'd like to discuss with your team to help you make the most of your next launch. Once your analysis is complete and you have a plan for implementing changes, including specific action items for each member on the team, please don't forget to document your findings. Not only will sharing them with your team ensure that everybody is on the same page and can contribute to the improvement process, but something I see over and over again is not keeping track of what was actually done in the past. From experience, it is very unlikely that you're going to remember all of your current launch details by the time you launch again. It's good practice to have a place where you can record the details of each launch or sale, including things like your key dates, your date marketing began, date of the webinar, date of webinar invitations, and your close cart date. Note exactly what your offer was, including your main product, your bump, your upsell, and your pricing. This includes bonuses, values assigned to bonuses, and everything having to do with your offer. You'll also want to make sure that you keep access to those key metrics and analysis that we discussed before, as well as the action items to implement for your next launch. Remember, the debrief isn't just an administrative task, it's a strategic tool. And when it's done right, it paves the way for smarter decisions, fine-tuned strategies, and ultimately, more successful launches in the future. It also creates a lovely feedback loop where you can take the data at hand, make educated decisions, implement the changes, and then check your data the next time through. This reduces guessing and making decisions based on gut feeling alone, which allows you to move through your launches with more confidence and a data-driven strategy. By embracing the power of a launch debrief, you can unlock valuable insights that will help to push your business forward. Remember to collect your data, analyze the story your numbers are telling, meet with your team to share experiences, wins, identify strengths and weaknesses, and then translate your findings into actionable improvements. With each debrief, you'll become better at launching products that resonate with your target audience and that convert well. Don't forget to grab your list of debrief questions to discuss with your team linked below, and head over to my launch dashboard walkthrough video for an example of how automating and visualizing your numbers can make launching so much easier. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.